the Kremlin has been a CBS News special report.
Patty Burns.
I'm Ray Tannehill. Eyewitness News at 6 is next. Shots were fired just a short time ago near the Russian Parliament building in Moscow.
That's where Boris Yeltsin has established a stronghold of resistance to the Soviet coup, which ousted Mikhail Gorbachev from power. Associated Press reporters heard more than 5 bursts of gunfire from different locations. There are reportedly more than 100 tanks surrounding the building. The shots sounded like automatic weapons fire. Well, no one has more to lose from a crackdown in the Soviet Union than Soviet entrepreneurs who have begun setting up private businesses of their own. Well, 4 of them happen to be in Pittsburgh tonight, where they've come for some training. Money editor Bill Flanagan talked with them just a short time ago.
We were taken by surprise.
Vladimir Grabovsky and his wife Larissa are in Pittsburgh on business, cut off from events back home in Moscow.
Yesterday we all were in shock and just we could not think about anything that this situation in our country.
The Grabovskys operate the Moscow office of Corporate Word, a language management company based in Pittsburgh. They've come here with 2 key staffers to learn more about U.S. business techniques. Corporate Word set up its Moscow office only last year to take advantage of the increasing interest among global businesses in investing in the Soviet Union. Company founder Gregory Soretsky, a Russian immigrant himself, says the crackdown in the Soviet Union could lead Western companies to delay or cancel investment plans.
American businessmen find it very difficult to do business in the Soviet Union, and this type of turbulence makes it even more difficult.
Political freedom is the main thing which is necessary in our country.
Yet Vladimir says he could live with the ouster of Gorbachev so long as the new leadership remained committed to a free market.
I could tolerate whatever they say, whatever ideology they have, as long as they do not interfere with economics, as long as they encourage free enterprising. I'm afraid that this is not the case.
For now, the Grabovskys have told their Moscow employees to stay at home until the situation becomes more stable. They fly home themselves at the end of the month.
I think that it will be not so bad as it is now. I'm an optimist.
Bill Flanagan, KDKA.
Soviets now visiting here in Pittsburgh is hoping the fledgling free enterprise in their homeland will not be crushed by the crisis in Moscow. They're part of a new generation of Soviets on the cutting edge of economic reform. But as Ken Rice reports, now their dream is in danger.
Take an English language document, process it through a bilingual brain and a computer keyboard, and you produce a Russian document. That's what they do here at the Corporate Word, a Pittsburgh-based translation company with clients ranging from phone companies to boat makers. Nearly 2 years ago, at the height of Gorbachev's perestroika, the firm opened a Moscow branch to accommodate international interest in the emerging Soviet economy. Vladimir Grabovsky heads the Moscow office.
It is generated by perestroika itself. Such a business as mine would be impossible before perestroika.
Grabovsky and several others from the Soviet office are in Pittsburgh for special computer training this week. Now they wonder if the free enterprise upon which their business depends will be there when they get back. They wonder if the new government will restrict them and if foreign firms will abandon the Soviet market. So far, the word they're getting from home is frightening.
What did you hear from Moscow? What's the news?
There are a lot of troop carriers near the Russian parliament.
We are very comforted that until now there have been no serious clashes. And we hope, we pray every day that it will continue this way at least.
For now, they say they wait, remembering they waited a long time for the reforms that put them in business in the first place.
I'm optimistic in the sense that good guys will always prevail. But nobody knows when.
Ken Rice, WTAE 4 News.
The Soviets plan to return to their troubled homeland next week.
Soviet Union changed so quickly today. The coup's downfall began this morning when the leaders of the overthrow boarded a plane at a Moscow airport. Reports say they fled to a republic in Central Asia. It is not clear what has become of them. While that was going on, tanks were withdrawing from Red Square by the dozens. The orders came from the Soviet Defense Ministry. Some tank drivers waved to cameras as they went by. And the people, determined to protect their freedom under President Gorbachev, let out a triumphant cheer when the news came of the coup's collapse. Hundreds were already gathered on the steps of the resistance headquarters in defiance of state of emergency orders when the good news came. Many of those people had fought against 10-ton tanks just the night before.
Oh boy, well, the cheering wasn't just only on the streets of Moscow. Here in Pittsburgh, there was celebrating as well. Andy Gastmeyer tells us tonight those who breathed a long sigh of relief included some Soviet citizens here in Pittsburgh on business.
With all
that they've been reading about and seeing on TV in recent days, it's hard for Vladimir Grabovsky, his wife Larissa, and the others with him in this delegation from Moscow, including Dima Postnikov and Dima Yeremeyev, to keep their minds on the mission that brought them to Pittsburgh more than a month ago. Under the watchful eye of Gregory Zaretsky, they are learning the skills necessary to operate Zaretsky's Moscow office of the Corporate Word, a company that provides Russian interpreting and translating services for many U.S. corporations, including several based here in Pittsburgh. They are, says Zaretsky, the kind of people Gorbachev dreams about.
This is the new generation. These are the people that do not sit and wait for the government to hand them something. They take destiny into their own hands.
But in recent days, they've had good reason to fear a reversal of fortune and are now relieved that the coup has failed.
I personally am happy because it means that my family is out of immediate danger.
I was really afraid to return. I never loved military men, so I just was afraid of them.
Now, says Dima Postnikov, we can proceed with the plans for the Soviet Union that were threatened by the attempted coup.
I hope that it will be disintegrated towards the union of independent states, independent republics.
A former military prosecutor, Dima Yeremeyev, says those who led the attempted coup should have to pay for it.
That would spell the end of KGB and the end of the party as we know it.
10 years ago, says Gregory Zaretsky, they may have symbolized the one-track mind of the Soviet system. Today, they represent the new, emerging Soviet economy. Collectively, he says, they are more important than the destruction of so many Soviet long-range nuclear missiles. Andy Gastmeyer, Channel 11 News.
And Vladimir Grabovsky says he thinks economic reform should go forward, and the person most capable of doing that, he thinks, is Boris Yeltsin. The delegation is scheduled to go back to Moscow at the end of the month.